Hey, it's Aaron, and today I'm with the 2023 Kia Sportage. This is all new, more or less, a bunch of changes. You can see the new Kia logo on the front, looks like a 9-inch nail spinoff band. You can also, under the hood here, there's a 2.5. You can get it either as a standard or turbocharged model. Those are the options. You can get all-wheel drive. With all-wheel drive, you get about an inch more ground clearance, puts it up to 8.3 inches. So lots of little changes this year to go with the big design change. So let's just have a look at it.
Hey, this is Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com, and today's review is brought to you by Stop Soldier Suicide. Find the link below, click, and donate. Appreciate it.
So major changes under the hood. The first one is the standard 2.5 liter engine puts out 187 horsepower and is kind of the base for this. Then you can go up to a turbocharged hybrid model, which has 227 horsepower and gets better fuel economy. So I personally would go with that turbo hybrid. That's what this is. A little better to drive, a little easier. It's not fast. You're not going to win races or anything, but it is confident, feels really good, and it drives a whole lot better. It's the 2.5 on its own is not terribly sluggish, but really for a vehicle like this, that turbo makes it feel better. Just adding that 40 horsepower-ish just feels better. So that's changes under the hood there. We'll talk about fuel economy again in a little while. Let's also talk about the design. So we'll come around the side and we'll talk about the design. We'll look at cargo and the interior. Then we'll talk about price tags and some of my experiences with the drive quality and fuel economy. So let's get going. So from the side, I'm doing something a little different this time. We're coming from the passenger side instead of the driver's side. I don't know why that is, other than that's just the way I angled the car. But anyway, you can see some of the overall design flow. You can see that it is kind of pinched and fast in the back, and it has a very positive body line right down the middle. Otherwise, it's mostly relying on just flow and kind of some of the bone lines. So as I walk in, you'll see the size of this. This is a compact SUV, so it's not huge, but it's not tiny either. It's kind of in the compact to small range, so right in there. If you're looking at the Kia lineup above this, you would see the Sorento for size comparison, and below this you would see like the Kona, vehicles like that. So looking at the design flow, you can see the hood humps up a little bit and then sharply drops here to make this fender look bigger and a little more aggressive. And then you can see the light, this is so cool, just comes off like this, like a boomerang in a very, very far back, creating kind of makes your eyeball move that direction, which is kind of the idea. You want that forward movement. That's what a lot of design in vehicles aims for. And then you see along here, the belt line is really just defined by the chrome add-on. There is no like belt line. The only line is right here. It fades in right about here and runs all the way across and then fades out just before that rear fender. That line is accentuated by the curvature right here and this curve up here. So rather than create a light shelf for a belt line right here, they just left this fat piece right here and let the chrome do the belt line work. Then you can see up here coming across, and you can see how it goes. It's actually mostly flat. It just gets wider to make for that downward pinch, which creates, again, forward movement. Then on this rear, you can see they wanted the rear haunch to look big and beefy. So that fades in very quickly and thickly right here. This is not a sharp line. It's actually a pretty thick fold. And that creates this bigger haunch, this bigger look back here. So overall, you end up with a kind of a speedier but muscular look. It's a really common motif for SUVs. So really nicely done. I like it because most of these lines are very simple. They didn't go really overboard, make too many edges or anything like that. It's pretty simple, which is kind of surprising. So let's go around and look at the working end back there. We'll talk about the interior too. So you can see back here for the cargo space, Sportage across here, the new Kia logo, not a 9-inch nail spinoff band. Over here you have the HEV, so that tells you that this is the hybrid electric vehicle. This is the hybrid option. And I want you to look down here. You see how they got kind of aggressive with that departure plate down there, and then the lines from over there, so that big fat haunch skinnies right here and just runs as a thin line around here and then starts a new one over there. Kind of a cool look. I really like that. And then when I open it, if you see white stuff floating around every so often, the cottonwoods are really out. It's also why I'm starting to get stuffed up. Go figure. Where did my button go? There it is. So here's the rear cargo space. Very large. I have to lean in pretty far to reach that back seat. Really good sized cargo space. You can get a lot of stuff in here. We did a big box store run in here to get some groceries and stuff, and it was way more space than we needed for that. So that's pretty awesome. Family of 5, lots of stuff fit in here. Also, a couple of nice little notes. There's a 12-volt plug over here. There's latches right here and right here to drop those seats for cargo usage. So if I just pull that, blop, right? It's not completely flat because I think there is still something on that seat, so it's not holding it. But they do go pretty close to flat. Not all the way, you have to kind of shove, but they will go pretty close to flat. Then you have just lots of little cargo space in here. Under here, this has this mat, and then under that is the spare tire. So there is no like underfloor cargo. They put the spare in there and a few other things, but nice cargo space. I love how huge it is. This does not have the optional cargo cover you can get, but there are hooks for it right here. It slides forward. Really cool. This right here, if you do put something on it, it flattens that out. I didn't point that out before, but see there is a big hump right there where the seat folds down. If you move the cargo floor up, which I guess I can try to do right now. So if you take this out and you put it up like that, you now have a completely flat cargo space. That's kind of an important thing to note because even with those seats folded all the way down flat, you still have that little bit of a shelf. If you're willing, if you're willing to reduce the floor space, like the width from here to here, a little bit, you can flatten that out for big objects. So good thinking, smart thinking. There's tie downs in here, nicely done in here. There are a couple of things I would like to see a little bit different, but honestly, for the size of the vehicle, this is a huge amount of cargo space. Kia says best in class. I didn't check that, but I assume if they're going to put it on their literature, they have to have checked it, or somebody would have called it out. So I'm going to say this is one of the highlights of this vehicle, is the amount of cargo that is available in it. So let's go sit in the back and then the front, and then we'll talk about some numbers. Okay, so here I am in the back seat. Front seat here is set for me at 6'3" to be driving, and you can see I have tons of leg room. So I have, 3 inches or so on my knee room, and I have enough room to move my feet forward so my legs are flat on the bench. The seat here is adjustable this way, so I can lay it pretty far back if I want, and pretty far forward otherwise. So sitting mostly upright like this, I am lightly scraping my hair on the roof. I have maybe a finger of headroom, but because it can lay back a little bit, I can gain another inch or so up there pretty easily. So that's a pretty cool thing. Also, there's like grocery hangers back here, seat pockets. There's USB plug. It's a USB-C, and just a nice little kind of a feel. There's a hook right here. This is interesting, and I don't know if you can see it from there, but in the back of the headrest, there's this hook. You can actually put a phone or a tablet in there. That's pretty neat. It's got a rubberized thing on the inside to kind of hold something in place. That's kind of cool. So, little touches, the little things that matter. Now, up front here, I have lots of room. I have tons of headroom. I'm at about, I'm going to say 2 inches plus right there. Lots of leg room. Feels good in the seat. I like the bolstering. Nicely set up. I am 6'3" and I fit in this just fine. Pretty great. Front passenger also has lots of room everywhere. There's nice little things in here, useful amenities. This particular one has a wireless phone charger, 12 volt, and a couple of USBs. So the USBs are always in here. You have a C and an A up here. Then you also have these cool cup holders that transform into a larger. So if you have a big bottle, like a water bottle that won't fit in a normal cup holder, you can fold this around and open it up, and it will probably fit. So really cool. I just like the kind of the general layout, and then this screen right here is one huge looking screen. It's actually 2 screens in one. So you have a digital driver's information screen, so a digital cluster, and then over here you have your large infotainment in this particular model. Couple of notes on the infotainment. There are no buttons, and there's no command knobs. So everything you're doing with the infotainment is on the touch screen. Some of it gets pretty tedious. You do have most of your standard-ish functions, radio and stuff like that on the steering wheel to make it a little easier, but it is kind of tedious to go through touching the screen all the time, especially because for most of us, you're going to have to lean forward to do that. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a downer. There's not even a volume knob. You have to use the steering wheel, or you have to do it on the screen. Those little things I find kind of annoying. But overall, nice interior and a really good drive. So I want to talk about the drive quality. This is a hybrid. It is made to get fuel economy, but it drives pretty well. It's not a sports car, but it drives really well for what it is. So I think in this class of vehicle, this size of vehicle, without going into the luxury markets, this is one of the better drives, one of the better vehicles I've been in as far as drive quality goes. Some of the assistance stuff is a little bit annoying. I don't like the lane keeping that they have. I feel like it's too aggressive, but that's a preference. Some people might like that. Otherwise, this does not have adaptive cruise, which I find a huge oversight. You got all the other tech in here. You should have adaptive cruise as part of it, but it does do really well with the cruise control and with highway driving. It is a little loud, so one of my chief complaints, I think, with this vehicle is that you get a lot of road noise on the inside, and because of that, you don't hear the stereo very well. The stereo itself is only okay. It's missing a huge amount of mid-range. So if I get the time today and I do an interior walkthrough like I usually do, I will show you how to boost the mid-range on the settings because it really, really needs it. It sounds hollow. You get a lot of top, you get a lot of bottom, but you don't get a whole lot in the middle. It sounds kind of hollow. So anyway, there are lots of downsides to this, but there's also lots of upsides. I really like the feel of this vehicle. It just feels good. So let's look at a Monroney. Let's check that window sticker and see what kind of pricing stuff we have for this. All right, looking at the window sticker, 2023 Sportage Hybrid EX. Okay. So you're looking at it, you can see here, all told, this one's actually a pretty good price, $33,860. That's for delivery and everything. That's a really phenomenal price. The only additional equipment installed for this is the EX Premium package, which adds that panoramic sunroof, LED interior lighting, hands-free power liftgate, and dual illuminated vanity mirrors, and then you add the carpeted floor mats. Honestly, all of this stuff I could totally do without and be fine. I don't think I would pay $1,500 for a panoramic sunroof. All it does is impede in my headroom, and I don't tend to use those kind of sunroofs. The LED interior lighting is nice. The power liftgate's probably the only thing on there that I would want, and I think you can get that as a standalone. So, yeah, really good pricing. You're looking at $30,990 as it sits without those add-ons, and without delivery. Really, really nice. Now let's talk about fuel economy. You see up there, it's rated at 38 across the board. That's surprisingly good. I did not average 38, but I did a lot of city driving. Even though I did put a lot of highway miles on this, there's some caveats to that. So first off, I put highway miles on this in my usual test run. So I did my 42-mile back and forth so that there's no elevation change in there. It evens out back and forth. I did my usual where it's just me in the car, and I did that. And I got a little better than 38 on the highway. I got about 38.7. So I did really well with that. The turbo really helps with that because I'm at 6,400 feet in altitude. And so that makes a big difference, altitude for a naturally aspirated engine. So for a turbo, it usually makes up for that because it can shove the air in there. So it did really well with that. That was just me in the car driving on a regular highway loop. I do it with every vehicle I get. Now, going the other way, I had this loaded with me and 4 kids. So me and 4 children, 1 in the front, 3 across the back. Age range from 11 to 13. And we did a long trip all the way up to Nebraska and back. If you know Tim Esserdahl, pickup truck and SUV talk, right by his house every year on Father's Day and the Saturday before Father's Day is a huge classic car show. And we go up to that pretty much every year. So we went up there. I hung out with Tim for a little while. The kids got snow cones. We checked out all the cool cars, and then we came back. On that highway trip, I averaged about 35.8. And the reason for that was the load in the car. It's an extremely long drive, and lots of stops because pretty much between here and there, you're slowing down for every podunk town you come to. And then it's a 2-lane highway, so there's constant speed changes because nobody knows how fast they're supposed to be going. So those are the caveats on that fuel economy. But honestly, either way, I would take those numbers. Those are really good numbers. And those are in the real world. So that's for me driving in the real world with real world conditions. That's pretty good fuel economy. I would like to see it a little better with a loaded car like that, but really that's not going to happen. A lot of people don't understand that when you start putting more people in your car, your fuel economy goes down. You can't expect to get the factory fuel economy in whatever your vehicle is when you've got the whole family in there. That's just how it is. So there you go. That's kind of there's the Monroney, there's the interior. Let's wrap this up. All right, there you have it. This is the 2023 Kia Sportage. This particular one's the hybrid edition. So that's what I got. This has been Aaron. Talk to you again soon.
Subscribe.